Good day, Sir JM. We are Group 3 and we are here to present the intellectual revolution of Francis Bacon. What is the intellectual revolution all about? Francis Bacon was a significant figure in natural philosophy and scientific methods during the transition from the Renaissance to the early modern period. Bacon wrote on law, state, and religion, as well as contemporary politics as a lawyer, member of parliament, and Queen's Counsel. Moreover, he also published texts in which he speculated on possible conceptions of society. He also pondered ethical questions such as essay, even in his works on natural philosophy. Bacon did not take up a position at a university after his studies at Trinity College, Cambridge, and Gray's in London, and interested tried to launch a political career. Despite the fact that his efforts during the reign of Queen Elizabeth were not fruitful, he rose to the highest political office, Lord Chancellor, under James I. Bacon's international fame and influence grew during his final years, when he was able to devote all his energies to the philosophical work, and even more so after his death, when English scientists of Invisible College incorporated his idea of cooperative research institution into their plans and preparations for founding the Royal Society. Francis Bacon has been called the father of empiricism. He argued for the possibility of scientific knowledge based only upon inductive reasoning and careful observation of events in nature, such as the natural philosophy entitled The Advancement of Learning, Novum Organum Scientiarum, and his thesis of idols, which he advanced his early writings as well as his description of a modern research facility in Nova Atlantis. His works are recognized as continuing to improve the scientific method, and they continued to have an impact throughout the scientific revolution.
Who are the key figures in the revolution? The key figures of the scientific revolution are: first, Nicholas Copernicus. He proposed that the Earth and other planets rotate around the Sun, or the heliocentric theory of the universe, meaning sun-centered, in contrast to the widely held belief that the Earth is the center of the universe. Copernicus believed that the Earth rotated on its axis on a daily basis, and that small changes in its axis were responsible for the changing seasons. Second, Johannes Kepler. He was best known for developing the laws of planetary motion. Kepler was a German mathematician and astronomer who lived between 1571 and 1630. Third, Galileo Galilei, who lived in 1564 and died at 1642. He developed the telescope, which he used to make several significant astronomical discoveries, including the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, Venus's phases, and Saturn's rings, as well as thorough observations of sunspots. Fourth, René Descartes. He developed analytical geometry and established skepticism as a necessary component of the scientific method. Descartes demonstrated that he could solve previously unsolved geometric issues by translating them to simpler algebraic problems. Fifth, Francis Bacon invented and promoted the scientific method, which involves acquiring and evaluating evidence through experiments and observations rather than utilizing logic-based arguments to uncover scientific laws. And for the sixth and last, Isaac Newton, who lived in 1643 and 1727, was an English physicist and philosopher who devised the laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation. Newton is regarded as one of the most influential scientists of all time due to his numerous achievements. Newton specialized in the branch of science known as physics. How did the revolution advance modern science and scientific thinking at the time? The scientific revolution was the rise of modern science during the early modern period, when the advances in mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, particularly human anatomy, and chemistry, altered cultural perceptions of nature. The scientific revolution began in Europe at the end of the Renaissance period and lasted until the late 18th century, influencing the Enlightenment. In the Middle Ages, the scientific revolution was constructed on the basis of ancient Greek learning and science, which had been improved and further developed by the Roman and Byzantine science and medieval Islamic science. Although natural philosophers had moved away from most of the Aristotelian tradition by the 17th century, it remained as an essential philosophical foundation. The change to the medieval idea of science occurred for four reasons. First, 17th century scientists and philosophers were able to collaborate with members of the mathematical and astronomical communities to effect advances in all fields. Second, scientists realized the inadequacy of medieval experimental methods for their work and so felt the need to devise new methods, some of which we use today. Third, academics had access to a legacy of European, Greek, and Middle Eastern scientific philosophy that they could use as a starting point. Fourth, institutions helped validate science as a field by providing an outlet for the publication of scientists' work.
What controversies met the revolution?
The Revolution controversy was a British disagreement concerning the French Revolution that lasted from 1789 to 1795. A pamphlet war occurred following Edmund Burke's reflection on the Revolution in France during 1790, which shockingly defended the French nobles. Advances in mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, especially human anatomy, and chemistry transformed social perceptions of nature during the modern period, resulting in the scientific revolution, collaboration, the creation of novel experimental procedure, the opportunity to build on the legacy of existing scientific thought, and the founding of organizations that promoted academic publishing helped reshape the medieval understanding of science. Natural and artificial circumstances were abandoned under the scientific method, which was founded and utilized in the 17th century.
How has the contribution of the key figure impacted society in general? What are the practical applications today of the key figure's contribution to science?
During the scientific revolution, changing perceptions of the scientist's role with nature and the value of experimental or observed evidence led to scientific approach in which empiricism played a significant but not absolute role. The scientific revolution was fueled by a slew of new ideas rather than any single breakthrough. Several of them were revolutions in their respective fields. In enlightenment, discussion, and philosophy, science began to take center stage. Many Enlightenment thinkers and authors were scientists, and they linked scientific progress to the decline of religion and traditional authority in favor of the rise of free speech and ideas.
That's about it for this video. We hope that you gained something and that you enjoyed learning with us. Thank you for listening.